reason I wanted to take a break from implementing any new theory here is that I want all of you to take a break and realize one thing: this cannot be done without your individual work at home. And I mean it, because I know for sure that there are some of you that do not have the time, or they do not make the time to study at home. And without this individual study, you'll not go any further. You can attend here, you can be at a level that you are right now. You can still be in the chanter stand, but you will not excel in that. You'll not go any further. I remember when I used to be a student, 14, 15 years old, the time allotted for the time that I put into individual learning every day was minimum 2 or 3 hours. That says something. We were so scared by Father Kostika Busuyok that we were learning like crazy, you know. That was back in the days. But for me it wasn't fear actually, because it was passion, it was love for this kind of music. And if you have love for something, you make time for that, as you'd make time for anything else that you like. I like a cold one in the evening. You know, I make time that I can have my 10 minutes of having that cold beer on my deck, and I think you can do also that for this music here. But in order to do that properly, I think there's some guidance needed here, because nobody was born knowing this music or how they should learn it, so it can go like this. I know that if you are trying to do individual work at home, you might still struggle with apprehending, with learning different aspects of this music, such as memorizing the signs, or implementing the theory of the intervals there. Some because they don't have the visual memory so well, some because they don't have a musical ear that good. Well, I'm here to explain all those things to you in order to facilitate, to make it easier for you to take one thing and bring it here. And I'm gonna use the same methods, and like I know them, the same methods that I used when I was a student. We started about 8 weeks ago with the scale, right? The diatonic scale. But before that, I want you to know why I chose this lesson. Reduce anxiety. Fear not the volume of the information. I know it was a lot in 8 weeks to comprehend, to apprehend, to memorize, to learn. It's basically a new alphabet and a new language that you have to learn. Some of you that have musical understanding of musical theory, of the Western musical, you might find this confusing because it doesn't use the same rules. But as long as you do not fear this and you don't get discouraged, and you want to implement this into your daily activity, into your daily time for learning, there's nothing to be afraid of. It is learn how to study, not just what to learn, but how to practice and retain Byzantine music efficiently. Connect the pieces, the scale, signs, combination, and rules all form one coherent system, one language, one musical language here. And it's all tied together. You see a combination of signs that has a gorgon on top and some Greek writing underneath. And it's a lot for your brain to to focus on. But it's all just one sound. La, just like that. Chanting transition, moving from isolated exercises like we used to do toward reading real liturgical texts. We tried that a week ago, and it sounded well. It was part memorizing, part actually reading the signs, which I'm very proud of. Build confidence. Be confident you already know more than you think and are capable of progressing, because most of you have already had this training in the chanter stand. So you're not starting this from zero. Most of you at least. You already had some training into how the chanter stand should work, about how the liturgy is, or the Vespers. All this, it's something that you have to know and to be proud of, to be confident of. You know, I did this stuff before. I can do it. I'm just implementing now the proper reading of the music so I can do it better. Practical method: set a clear roadmap for reviewing, memorizing, and applying what has been taught. Roadmap, that's a word here that I like to remember. Remember that in the beginning I said reading this music is like reading a hidden treasure map. You know, you follow the clues there, and you go step by step. Stop here, go left, go right, two steps forward, one step back, and all those clues that are there are basically a roadmap, right? It tells you where to go. It's the same when you're reading a Byzantine music sheet, as in learning it. You have to focus on what you have to do, on the steps you have to take, reviewing, memorizing, and applying what has been taught in this order. We focus on the goal. The objective is obviously to stand in the chanter stand and serve through prayer. Serve through prayer. I cannot emphasize enough this word, prayer. This is what you're learning actually, not chanting, not singing. It is prayer. When you implement prayer into this activity, that is when it becomes Byzantine music. Strong foundation ensures solid ground before moving to advanced concepts and repertoire. Well, we cannot go much further if we're not sure of that we understand and know what it was already given to you. You cannot read cherubic hymn if you're unsure of how the scale goes, the order of the sounds there, or what a sound, sign does, or what is the interval from ni to thee, for example. Unless you don't have that as a strong, solid foundation, you can be in the chanter stand, but you will never lead it. And basically the reason is that each and every one of you would be able to lead a chanter stand, or to be alone there and do the full service. As I said, we started with the diatonic scale, and I hope you all know it by now. Ni, all together. Pa, vu, da, vi, ke, zo, ni. Good. You memorize it. The goal is not to memorize it, because you already did that. But the goal is to actually do more than that. Is to know instantly where every note is. It's like closing your eyes and know every single finger of you that you have. You know this is the pinky, the little one. You know this is the ring. You know this is the middle finger. You know this is the pointing finger. You know this is the OK finger. And because you know them with your eyes closed, that is how you should know this scale. You should know it in and out, where every note is, what lies above and below every note. You give me the, I know, for example, above is ke, below is da. I don't need to repeat A, B, C, D, E, F, G, to sing the song in my mind in order to get to that note and see what's above and below. The distance between the notes. You give me me and thee, I know it's 4. That's how I should go. How notes relate to one another. That's one important thing. It's about the interval there, right? Pa and ke. Pa, ke, tam, pam, pam, pam. You give me ni and ga. Ni, ga, ni, ga. I already know it's three steps between them. How intervals create melody. And that is, you take the, you go to pa, then you go to ke, you go to ni, you go to ni here, and you create melody by using the intervals here. Think of the scale as a map, not a sequence. Remember I said a road map there. Think it as going progressively from one note to the other. Ni, pa, bu, ga, di, ke, zo, ni. And you have to know this in and out. Like you know the houses on your street. This is the crazy guy house. Next is the cute lady. Next is my neighbor that's always complaining. Then it's my house here. And the next one is that lady that always cuts the grass on Sunday, and so on. A chanter does not recite a scale while reading music. This has to be so burned in your memory that whenever you get to the point when you're chanting on actual music and text, you will not need it except for the very beginning. When you're searching for the beginning sound of the chant, you see it's the. You do the pehema, or you just go with the scale if you're not experienced enough, and you say it's tone 8, but it starts on the. So ni, pa, bu, ga, di. I'm there and I start. Every note should feel like a familiar place, not a piece of information. So you take it as a whole, but every single note on that scale, you should know about it, its neighbors, its relation with the more further neighbor, and so on. This is called musical thinking. You don't think of them like simple notes on a scale. You feel them, you hear them in your mind. How do you do that? Well, there are some hacks here. Scale as a ladder. Visualize notes vertically. Know what is above, below, and around every note. Random jumps. You do this at home. Practice intervals like ni to ga or zo to di. Music is made of intervals, not just scales. Become the note. You are the, it says there. Ask, what is above you, below you? Where is zo or ni relative to you? You put yourself on a scale and you think like, look, ni, pa, vu, ga, di, ke, zo, ni. Pa, vu, ga, di. I know Did is ni, and Achilles is ni as well. Good example. Anchor note. That's very important. Every note, every song, every chant has an anchor note. In Romanian, we call it baza, bass note. Is the note, I talked about that, where everything rotates around. Like for example, in tone 8, that note is always ni. In second tone, it's always the. And most of the time the music starts from that note, and most of the time it ends in that note. So you choose one note, learn every relationship from that specific anchor point. That will help you when we're gonna get to the modes, because the relationship between the and upper ni in tone 8 is different than the relationship from the and upper ni on second mode, in second tone. They are different scales, but as long as you know how much it goes from one to another, you'll be prepared for when we're gonna learn about chromatic scales. Eyes closed, visualize the scale mentally. Move from note to note without looking at a page. Or you can just imagine a keyboard in front of you and play ni, pa, bu, ga, di, ke, zo, ni with your fingers. And you say from ni to di. Let me do this interval. Ni, pa, bu, ga, di, ni, di, ni, di, ni, di, ni, di. Think in intervals. Second, you have ni to pa. It's walking, okay? Second. Third, you do a bigger step. You're jumping. If you have to go to fourth, strong move. Fifth, powerful leap. You can jump. You visualize those intervals like jumping from one note to another. All this is for you to understand the intervals, basically the scale. Why did we chose to start with the scale? It's not about the scale, it's about the intervals here. Intervals make the music. You have to understand the relation between ni and other note on the scale, and you have to point right away how many steps do you have to take from a note to another, forward or descending. Instant recognition, not counting or hesitation. Aim for the natural ease of finding a button on a dashboard. Remember that you're driving a car, okay? And you want to turn on the radio. You don't look for it while driving. You just point to it, right? You know where is it. You want to lower the window. You press the button. That's how it should go when aiming for an interval. You're not gonna start doing this before chanting. Or during chanting, God forbid. It goes right away. You know the interval. You have to know it in and out. Connect to chant. Every melody is a series of intervals. The scale is useful only when it becomes music. Again, another emphasis of how important the intervals are. You take the little piano that you have on your cell phone, or you can go to the Dollarama store where they sell little pianos like this. I bought one for my son. It's $5. And you practice on it, and you learn those intervals. Ni, di, ga, ke, di, ni, pa, ke, ni, di, bu, ni, pa. And you go like that from note to another, just to learn the intervals. You say, for the next 5 minutes, I'm going to learn the interval of ipsili. From ni, from pa, from bu, and so on. Let me see how the ipsili sounds from ni. How many steps does ipsili go up? 4, correct. Or 5, depending on the position. Let's say 4 steps, okay? From ni to di. Ni, di, ni, di, ni, di. You should go like that. Let me see how it goes from pa. Pa, ke, pa, ke, pa, ke. Basically putting the harmony to there, Ke, pa, ke, pa. It's all for you to understand the importance of apprehending the intervals here. Without the intervals, there is no music. Without that, it sounds phonetic. It sounds how the priest or the chanter reads the password of the gospel. No, 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 no. That was the music in the very beginning. We are not there. We're 2,000 years after. So by now we should have intervals in our music. Without that, it sounds boring. It doesn't sound really like music. It sounds like, I don't know, murmur. Boo, nothing else. And after that, we went to the vocal signs. How many vocal signs are there? Let's see them. Aquiles, tell me the first vocal sign that comes in your mind.
Can I get an example? Like vocal signs?
Ison.
Okay, that's what you mean. Okay, so like
Ison.
symbols, yeah.
Trent, another one.
Pedasi.
Pedasi. Gordon.
Candy Mata.
Kentematta. Nice.
Amen.
Amerik. Oligon. Apostrophos. Elafron. Ipori. Good job. Is there any one that we missed? Kentem. Kentem. Welcome, Cornelius.
Thank you.
You just broke the scale, you know?
Oh, perfect.
You know, we have the diatonic scale here. Ni pa vogatik zoni, and now you're upper pa probably. Or so, or whatever you want.
Thanks.
For the vocal signs, memorize the action. Do not memorize the shape. That should be, you know, in the very beginning. But if you're still struggling with the shape and you cannot tell apart an ison from oligon, well, it's 8 weeks wasted, you know, because in the very beginning, that's what we learned. We learned exactly the shape of that. But right now, we're past that. And we're focusing on what the sign does, not how it looks like, because you should know how to recognize it. It's like asking someone to draw the A letter, but it's more important that they know how it sounds, the A letter, you know? Do not memorize the shape. The goal is not to see a sign and think this is an oligon. The goal is to think up one, to know what it does. For me, when I started this course here, it was a bit hard to remember the name of the signs. I know what they do, but apostrophos, I'm just gonna lose the train until I see the whole word. Vocal signs are verbs. Interesting. They are not nouns. They do not describe music. They tell the voice what to do. The scale tells us where we are. The, ni, pa, ke, ga, and whatever. Vocal signs tell us where to go. Vocal signs are the instructions here. Every sign represents a movement. Ison, well, there's no movement in ison, but oligon, up one, apostrophos, down one, elafron, down two, petasti, leap upward. It's a more stronger than the oligon. But in order to learn properly these signs and their action and what they do, you have to have some hacks here. Think about the stop sign. When you see it, you don't think about red octagon. Just say stop and you push the brake. And that's when you see some signs and you know exactly what they do. You don't think about their names. It's not the time nor the situation to think of that sign and the name, but you have to think of what they do. Cover the names if you need. Hide the labels. You don't need, if you need the name to identify the action, you still need practice. Again, action is more important than the name or the sign there. Air reading. Interesting. You take the music sheet, you see the signs, and you point to the signs and immediately say the movement. Up, down, stay, down two, up three. Faster than singing and very good in understanding what you're dealing with. You can try this type of exercise at home. Take the music sheet and see and name what every sign does. Up two, down one. Read before singing. First, translate the signs into movements, then sing them. As I said, like with the air reading, you take the sheet and you see the signs and you go over everything and see what they do. And then after you do that, you get to singing. But it's going to be more easier if you went before and figure out what every sign does. This is Byzantine Music 101 here. It's the very basic of it. Think in motion, don't see drawings, see movement through the scale. Every sign sends you somewhere. Some, imagine a point in space that receives different instructions. Go up 1, go down 2, stay. And that point is moving. That's how music goes. Instant recognition, a sign should trigger action immediately. No calculation, no hesitation, just movement. And you know what? For single silence, that's mandatory. You know, you cannot do the math when you see one single sign. You should know right away, in the very moment that your eyes see them, what that sign does and where it goes. You don't remember. You shouldn't say this is an electron. You know, it just goes down 2. Because if you don't know that, it's going to become harder when you're going to deal with combination of signs. That's where the math comes in. And it came right now. Combination of signs. We have here 2 fundamental types of combinations. A combination is not a new sign. You're not recreating music here. You're just using the tools that you have to reach the interval, the note that you want to reach from a specific point that you wouldn't reach without using 2 notes. It is a relationship between signs that already have meaning. Most combinations belong to one of 2 categories. And one is mathematical combinations. So the intervallic values are combined. And the example there is oligon and kentema. Oligon is 1, kentema is 2. That shows you have to go up 3. Or depending on position, you can go only 2 or 3. The signs work together to create a larger interval. That's the meaning. Can anyone give me an example of 2 signs that are combined together? Anyone else?
Oligon and Patashti.
Oligon and Patashti. Very good example. How much does that go? Wow.
I think Patashti is like 4.
1 and 1.
Yeah, 1 and 1, right?
1 and 1.
Yeah.
So it goes up 2. How?
Yeah.
With a little kick, like a leap. So you have to think addition of movement. You bring 2 signs together. You combine them to get yourself a new interval there. And there are supporting combinations there. One sign supports the other. How? So one sign leads the melody, the other assists. How does it assist? It helps in supporting the sign. Usually, not usually, always, it will go on accent. You'll see a combination sign. Can somebody give me an example of a combination that works as a supporting combination? It says there, petasti with supporting signs, apostrophos with supporting signs. Like for example, petasti would work as a supporting sign for ison. It's still an ison, even if it has a petasti under. It's just with a little accent. Apostrophos as well, with a petasti, is still apostrophos. Another example of a supportive sign here.
Oligon and kentema when it follows it.
Correct. And oligon and ipsili, which can act as both mathematical and supporting combination. You understand? Because sometimes the oligon with the ipsili, oligon doesn't do anything. It's just a support for the ipsili. But if you move the ipsili towards left, ipsili combines with the oligon, and instead of a leap of 4 steps, you get
It's
5.
Yeah.
But also you can, I was thinking how you can think of that to make it easier for you. And it's always like this, one sign leads, the other assists. It's not there just for I don't know, just because the writer had too much ink in his pen. No, it still has a purpose. We say supporting, but it's something, it's not like weight there to support something. So it has to have a meaning. My thinking is that it helps the sound to be visible and also to give an accent whenever it follows it. How to read combinations. Very important. When encountering a combination, ask yourself these 4 fundamental questions. Principal sign. Identify which sign carries the primary melodic idea. This is your anchor. So you have to ask yourself, what is the sign that I have to read in this combination, especially in supportive combination? Movement. What is the direction? Is it moving up, down, making a leap, or staying on the note? As I said, music here, it's all about movement. Though you have an E-song, it never stays. It's still going on. It still plays, right? So for every sound, for every beat, you have to go somewhere. Even if you're going like this. Da, na, 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 na. You're still moving. Da, dum, dum, dum. It's still movement, even if it's an E-song. But you have to figure out how it moves. Maybe it moves forward, or it goes back, or stays the same, it still moves. Support. What are the supporting signs doing? Are they adding intervals or shaping the gesture? So in that moment, you have to understand the combination, if it's like it says here, mathematical combination, when it adds up to the primary note, or just supporting it. And the final result, what is the combined effect? Synthesize the signs into a single musical notion. Now, you will not have time to ask yourself all those 4 questions when you're chanting in the church. You know when you have to ask yourself those questions? When you're at home and preparing for the next lesson or the next liturgy. If you're still traveling with combination of signs, you take any combination you see and you ask yourself those questions. Which is the principal sign here? Where does it go? What kind of combination is this? And how should it sound? That's what you have to do when you encounter combination of signs. You cannot go any further if you see 3 signs combined together and it takes you a minute to decipher it. That comes with a lot of practice, with a lot of exercise. And that comes not here, it comes at home. Because here I don't want to spend time in explaining every single combination we find. I might do it for the next lessons, but in the end we have to not to drag ourselves with this kind of thing, but to learn them and to go further without thinking all those 4 questions. That is for you to deal with at home. The golden rule, understand the relationship. Do not memorize combination as isolated facts. Learn the grammar of the signs, not a specific sentence. Internalize the motion, don't just memorize the drawing. You will never do that. Don't fall into this, memorizing a specific combination. It's not going to help you and it's just a headache. You'll see a combination of petasti with a poroi and the gorgon on top and an antikeroma with an apli below. It's 6 signs into one. You gotta memorize that? It's not Chinese. You don't have to. You only have to understand what every single element from there does. And the more you take these combinations and you put the 4 questions on it, the more easier will come. It's going to become a second nature. Practical learning hacks, we already talked about that. Identify the leader, as I said, a principal note there. For example, on a petas-t combined with iporei, which one do you think is the principal sound there? The main sound. The main sign. Iporei, of course. Because the petas-t is only for support. So you have to find that principal sign first. Read from the inside out. Start with the main sign, add a supporting sign afterward. If it makes it easier for you, just cover it. Just don't look at it. Only simplify your reading by taking into account, just for the supportive signs combination, take into account the principal sign. Decompose combination, that's what you have actually to do every single time you meet combination of signs. Separate it into its individual signs, analyze each one. I see a combination of 4 signs there. And probably this is the most difficult part about reading music, not chanting. It is to take 4 signs as one sound. It's still gonna count as a beat, even though you see 4 or 5 different elements there. You have to decompose them. I take the gorgon away, I take the iporoi, I take the petas-t, and I ask myself, what is the leader here? What's the main sign? Is the iporoi. Okay, the petas-t is for support. The gorgon here speeds it up. Translate before singing. Describe the movement in words first, then perform. You can do that at home. So those hacks are for you to try at home. Some may not work for you. Some may do. Like for example, number 3 here, decompose combinations. That should work for each and every one of you. That's the basic you can do. Translate before singing. Describe the movement in words first. Talk to the sign. What are you doing here? Oh, you're going up 2. Okay, thank you. Put you away. There's another sign here. It's a klasma. Okay, klasma. That means 2 beats. Group by function. Categorize. Upward, downward, expanding, or supporting. And 6, ask the right question. Not what is this, but what is it trying to accomplish? When you say what is this, you're gonna say petas-t. Okay, so what? No. What does that petas-t do? What's its role here? How much does it go up or down? How much it stays there? Combination are the first step from reading individual letters to reading musical phrases. That's very important. At some point, we're gonna deal with a whole musical phrase. You think we're gonna stop to analyze every single combination there? We cannot. You heard before we started recording a fragment from Capella Romana. And I'm gonna send that album to you so you can listen to it. It's 100 years old chants. Probably not very much not very common nowadays, but it used to be sang half a millennia ago, even more than that. And the conductor would not give you the movement for each and every beat. You just make a sign with the hand and you'll know a full phrase. But before getting to that, you still have to read the individual signs, the combination of signs, in order to get the phrasing. We had the temporal signs, and we learned quite a bunch of them. Even if they are up there, let's take them and see what signs did we learn. What temporal sign does come first into your mind, Ignatius?
Plasma.
Plasma, good. It does double the time, right? 2 beats instead of 1. How about you, Trent? The next one?
Gorgon.
Gorgon. It does exactly the opposite. It puts you 2 sounds into 1 beat. Ta-ta instead of ta. It goes like ta-ta. It's still 1 beat, but 2 sounds in it. Tam-tam. Another one, Gordon?
I have to cheat. Diagorgon.
Diagorgon. Sorry. Digorgon, we call it. Digorgon, even if it says the in the beginning, it doesn't have anything to do with the note the or double. It's three sounds in one beat. Ta 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 ta. Next, Isaac.
Trigorgon.
Trigorgon. Four. Four notes in one beat.
Four notes.
Ta 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 tam. Ta 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 ta. You hear the difference, right? One is way faster than the other. Tam pam pam. One beat, one note. Then you have the trigorgon, which goes two, going down to going up. Ta 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 ta. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. John,
Deeply.
Apli, or you said?
Deeply. Oh,
Deeply.
we should do Apli.
Apli, okay. It's basically the same as Klasma. 2 beats. Deeply, it's 3 beats. Ta. And deeply, 4 beats. Ta. When you see that deeply, you're either singing a cherubic hymn or it's the end of the song. Vocal signs tell us where to go. Temporal signs tell us how long it takes to get there. Sometimes you can think of it like punctuation marks. For example, for me, Klasma sounds very much like a comma, right? And usually, whenever you have a sacred text that has a comma there, you will always have a Klasma. Practical learning hacks. Temporal signs do not change the melody, they change the rhythm, flow, and expression. And they are very important. Otherwise, music, despite the intervals, will still sound boring. Ta-dam, pam, 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 pam. I still needed one because it started to sound boring, you know. Imagine just singing like this. It comes from nowhere and it goes to nowhere, like jazz. Sorry about that. I have something against jazz. Not all the jazz. Learn beat values, as we did. You have to learn, and this is easy to learn. You just have to recognize the sign, not to name it, as we did with the vocal signs. Recognize it and apply it. Klasma. Gorgon. Apli. Trigorgon. Sorry, that's digorgon. Trigorgon. 4. Conduct first. Now, when you're dealing with temporal signs, it's very important to beat the tempo. And how you do that? Well, if you're in the church, you will do it with your toe inside your shoe. But if you're at home, take your phone, take a stick, take a cat, and do this. Conduct first. Feel the beat with your hand. Temporal signs are easier to understand physically than intellectually. If you have a metronome in your head, okay, that goes. But we do not have that in our head, so we still have to use our own hand to beat the tempo. Separate layers. Read vocal signs first for melody, then apply temporal signs for rhythm afterwards. That might work for some. Number 2, it should not just work, but it should be done by each and every one of you. Use your hand to beat the rhythm there. Pum, pum, pa 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 pum, 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 pa 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 pum, pum, pa 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 pum. Separately, think like a speaker. Some words are prolonged, others move quickly. Temporal signs create expression and flow. So you see, despite the fact that someone is not singing, you'll still feel a beat, a rhythm in their talking. They can talk slower or they can talk faster, you know? And you can feel that. Oh, he's using a Klasma in his speech, eh? Something like this. It's a natural way to speak, and Italians had a word, se canto come se parlo, which means you sing as you speak. And also, in music there's there's a rhythm called parlando rubato, which means as you speak. You sing it as you speak. We have that in folk music, for example. In Romanian, we have doina, which is a genre of music that it's music, spoken music. I could exemplify it, but it's not the time, not the. I don't have this version for doina. You should know about doina, right?
Yeah.
Compare reading. Chant phrases with and without signs to notice how the musical character changes. And 6, again, traffic, sign, logic. Aptly, stay, deeply, stay longer. Gorgon, move. The gorgon, move even faster. You can apply that. Choose whatever hack works for you from this list and apply it to your learning.
Number 5, I don't understand.
Compare
Yeah.
chant phrases with and without signs to notice how the musical character changes. So for example, you have the music sheet here and you don't take into account any temporal sign,
Oh, okay.
okay? And then you sing it as it should be with a temporal sign and see the difference.
So you give equal value to every
Yeah,
note.
a note without a temporal sign is always one beat. But if you take into account, if you apply the temporal signs, it will sound as it should sound, you know? Learning at home. Understanding is not memory, you know, and so many people struggle with this. You can memorize things, yet you cannot understand them. So, how do you actually get from learning to memorizing and to understanding? Purpose of study. The lesson is for understanding. What are we doing here is for you to understand. I'm explaining things to you. I'm giving you the theory, the science, the temporal science, and whatever combinations are there. But home practice is for retention. Not just for memorizing, but for retention, for keeping it there in order to apply them further. Consistency rule. Do not wait for the free hour. And man, I should make one one slide just on this rule here. So many of you say, I will do it when I have time. I'm gonna take a full hour for this. 5 minutes every day beats 1 hour once a week. And that's true. If you are waiting for the time to implement this kind of study, it's never gonna come. There's always something we as adults have to do. I didn't have anything to do when I was 14 or 15 years old then to learn. And that's why I could take 2 or 3 hours each day, even more I'd say, to learn this. At some point I didn't learn anymore. I was doing it for pleasure, for the love of music. And it was still learning because you're constantly learning. But we as adults, we never have free time, and you know that. Any free time we have is just taking a break from whatever important things we have to do and we don't. So 5 minutes of your time, like a coffee break, take your phone out or take a book out of music or listen or watch a video on YouTube about this stuff. It's, as it says there, a consistency thing that will lead to retention, to understand and get all these details, as many as they look like. You can get them here. Review before sleep. I used to do this as a student. I wouldn't go to sleep without at least 1 or 1.5 hours of studying. Actually, it was mandatory for us. We were in a boarding school that was very, very strict as a theological seminary. Quickly run through scale, signs, chant, where you can choose to, I think it's even more relaxing and better for sleep to listen to some Byzantine music before going to sleep. I always do that. Always do that. Sometimes my wife finds me with my headphones on my head, falling asleep, listening Byzantine music. number 4, daily listening, while multitasking, driving, walking, cooking. You don't know how it sticks, how it grows in you, how it sticks to you, learning this kind of music. At some point, you'll have to chant using the scale that is the Byzantine scale, not the well-tempered scale that we use nowadays. Deirdre was just talking to me about this thing that I didn't burden you with the microtones there, that most of the teachers are telling their students they should learn. No, I still kept it on a well-tempered scale, tone and semitone, in order for you to learn better the signs and the intervals. Because at some point, you will listen to Byzantine music and you will not even realize that you're actually chanting correctly. And you can feel the difference. If you take a little piano and try to sing Holy God, for example, ga di ga vu pa vu ga vu ga di ke ga di ke. It's gonna sound so strange, so wrong on the piano, because it follows the tone and semitone, the well-tempered scale. And you're trying to sing it as you heard it in the church, and the piano wouldn't work. There's nothing wrong with your piano. It's just the chanters are using not the diatonic, well-tempered scale that Bach and other classic composers put it in place, but they are using a more ancient modal scale, which is called Byzantine scale. It's a bit different, and most of you wouldn't be able to chant it even after years, but you definitely will sound as it should be when you're gonna chant it in the church, because of how you remember it from what you listened, no, not how you practiced it individually at home. Don't waste your time with that. Listen to music. That's probably the easiest way to learn. Depth of study. Study small section thoroughly. Quality over quantity ensures a solid foundation. Sometimes it gets easier to, instead of taking a whole bunch of information, let me just learn in today the temporal sense. Just exercise on the digorgon, or the gorgon, or the clasp. And if you put some effort into one small thing, that effort will pay off. And that small thing, as you call it, is going to be a known small thing. You're going to be remembering it because you practiced it thoroughly. Incremental learning, review yesterday before learning today. Many times when we met here, we said, what did we do last time? We did a scale. Let's do it again before the bridge the gap between sections. You cannot go further if you don't have the solid ground of what you learned yesterday and you applied. Byzantine music is learned through familiarity, not intensity. You have to become familiar with it. That you can do with lots of practice at home, with listening this music whenever you have time. Even like multitasking, you're driving. Why should you listen to 680 news when you can just bring on some Vatopedic monastery chanting? It's beautiful. Well, the most effective learning habits: active recall. Build your own Byzantine music notebook. Test instead of rereading, cover and recall. Always, like, look, Cornelius has a red book there. David has the sheets or whatever. Claudia, she printed the whole musical grammar that I sent her, the Romanian book, and she always uses them. Try to have some materials with you so you can go really, really quick through that. And not just that. At some point you'll have to have it in that folder, in that binder. Music that you can go and look on it in order to learn it for the next liturgy. Physical iteration: sing out loud, make mistakes quickly, attempt, correct, repeat. Don't be afraid of of mistakes. Those mistakes are actually teaching you how not to do them. You do a mistake here, start again. Like when you take the sheet of music with the exercise, and it doesn't go perfect from the first try, you go back, rectify what you missed there or what you were mistaken on, and you go again until it's flawless. Logic first. Learn the logic, not the page. Ask, why does this sign work or this combination exist? Try to find the logic of it. The music is math, is very logic. Music in its writing, of course. You'll never find something that it's out of place. Every single sign there has a meaning. As I said, even if it's a supportive sign, it still acts like an accent or a kick to the note that it supports. And for me, number 4 works always, the t-test. If you can explain it to a friend while drinking a cup of tea, you understand it. Teaching is the highest form of learning. If you can explain what you learned in simple words, that's when you know you actually learned it. Try to have like a conversation with yourself in the mirror. Or, when you don't find someone to talk with, you just talk alone because you need a smart person. Eh? You take your knowledge to yourself. You speak to yourself. You try to explain it to yourself. Don't think it sounds ridiculous. You're learning. You're trying to bring something in your mind, and you're using every tool at your disposition there. For me, that works always. If I can explain one thing in simple words, that's when I know I will remember that thing. I take, for example, klasma. And how simple can I explain that? 2 beats. I'm not going to a full explanation of that. I know, it's 2 beats. That was the note. I understand what klasma does now. Combination of signs. Petas T with an apostrophos on it. Still apostrophos. I only need 2 words to explain it. Still apostrophos. The most successful students are not the most talented. They are the most consistent. Well, that's quite a golden rule here. You probably still remember the story of the 2 Michaels. Yeah. I come back to it from time to time. And consistency here is what will keep you afloat. It's what will keep you here in this class and eventually in the chanter stand. I love this quote from, who can tell me what saint is that?
John Chrysostom.
Correct. Nothing so uplifts the soul, gives it wings, frees it from the earth, loosens the chains of the body, inspires the love of wisdom, and makes it disregard all worldly things, a sacred chant and sacred song.
Wow.
Imagine how great the honor is to chant in the chanter stand. Don't take this lightly. I never did. People will see through you, will pray through you, will know God through you. Can you realize how frightening this is? That's why don't take this lightly. As I said, it's something that can gain your salvation one day. I'm pretty sure, and I hope to God that somebody came to church because of my voice. I hope that. But I'm pretty sure it happened, because I heard some people, not here, back in Romania. There was one time, I wasn't alone. It was a choir that I was part of, and we were chanting in the Saturday just before Easter at a monastery in Romania. And so, just so you know how important this was for one man, there was someone listening to us. We were doing rehearsal. It wasn't the service. We were preparing for the Easter night. And a man comes to us with tears in his eyes and he says, I entered a church first time in 30 years. And I hear you. and now I will never leave from here.
Wow.
It just, we were shaken by this word. Questions? I'm gonna send this slide to you all, and if you have any questions, please go ahead. I try to make it easier for you to understand how you should learn at home. That's the reason we're having this lesson here. I had to stop and to beg you, work at home. You're not gonna get any further if you don't put some effort when you should be comfortable. This is a sacrifice you're doing to come here every Tuesday, and it should pay off. And you only need to add a few more minutes at home every day. That's what you have to do. Can I get some water, please? Just toss it over. Thanks, Nancy. If you have any questions, please. Very quiet today, eh? Do you want to listen something? Do you want to chant something?
How does, I enjoy listening to Byzantine music, of course, and I try to follow but for me the struggle is calculating the note while we try.
The interval.
Yeah, calculating the interval, or the signs, the combination. So the ones I know that are there, I'm able to chant on Sundays. And then there'll be a multi-combination that changes the speed and everything, and that blows up. So I know it's to practice at home until I get comfortable with it. You're saying not to memorize all these combinations, but still there's a lot of things you got to add together and you only have one beat to do it in.
There are countless of combinations, you do realize that.
Yeah.
And it's pointless to start memorizing them. You have to, do as Chinese do. I think that's how they are doing when they are reading those signs. They take the whole thing as a whole, right? But they are mindful of every element of that katana, or whatever it's called, or that striving there. If you want to memorize them all, I'm not gonna stop you. I think it's a bad idea.
No, I'm not trying to memorize.
I think you have to take them apart, and to figure out what is the principal sign there, the main sign. That's for supportive signs in combination of signs with supporting sign. If you have to do the math, then it's easier. You just take it as a one sign. For me, it's still one sound there. It's all about the practice, Isaac. I will not lie to you.
Yeah.
It's something that you have to do in your own time.
Tudor?
Yes, please.
Does a sign always do the same thing, no matter where you see it?
No, when it's a combination.
See, that's.
Well, there are
that's
signs
the
that are
complication, right? Because you may see a petasti here, it does this here, but then it does something different here. And you gotta.
most of the signs will stay the same, even in combinations.
Okay.
Right. And combination of signs do not occur every other note there. They are used for larger intervals, or they are used in, for example, when you have a cluster of gorgons, for example. You'll still, let's bring up a simple music sheet here. I'm gonna go on YouTube and try to find something. I'll search some funk that I know is Dion. You know this one. Okay. I set the bar too low. Let me give something more complex. How many combination of signs can you see here?
Maybe about how many combinations?
Yeah, don't call this a combination. This is just one sign on top of the other, right? It's not, this doesn't support it, it's individual signs. This is an ornament sign, same like this one, Psi stone skull. This is a varia. That, you can call it a combination or not, but it's not from the ones that I mentioned, mathematical combinations, you know, that adds up, or the ones that are supportive sign. This one, it's a combination. You have the oligon and the cantillon, right? And it goes up 2. First combination that I saw. You can call this a combination. Yeah, you can. Though it's a dynamic sign, but it's still one sound with the classman. How many combinations were there? So you're troubling yourself too much. It's
It's when you see a gorgon, you have to see ahead. You're looking ahead of where you are because you have to speed up the note you're on because of the next note. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Gorgon is,
but it has to come with practice.
yeah, that has to be practiced.
You what's your visual span? I can see, for example, that chair, and I can see the door. Okay, so when I'm looking at a music sheet, I see the whole row. I know what to expect. I see there's a gorgon there. I'm singing here, but I'm already watching what comes here. That's me. Să ne curățim mai înainte pre noi, fraților. I saw this gorgon when I was here, actually. You'll see it ahead, because your eyes shouldn't focus just on doom, 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 doom. It's not like subtitles on a screen that appear word by word. You have to see at some point the whole phrase. No, that's a part of a phrase. That's very common. Da, 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 da. Another phrase. No, 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 no. Imagine or not, this is another phrase. Da, da, no, 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 no. Another phrase. And at some point, you'll not be concerned with, oh, this is a Gordon, sorry. This is a gorgon, and I don't know what note goes before with the gorgon and so on. You see the phrase. You'll see like a full chain of notes. But that will come in time. Right now, you're still stuck on Pani, pavu, gadi, gavu, gavu, pani, and so on. It will come in time. And you know what's going to help? Practice at home. And I want to say, practicing on known music. Like, take Holy God. I encourage you, especially Antiochians, take the music sheet from Holy God and practice on it. It's going to be way easier to understand the intervals, the action of the gorgon and classman. Do you have anything for Sunday that you want to bring up?
Sunday is actually a nice regular day. There's not many extra variables.
Beautiful.
So yeah, we could do the second tone, probably be good.
Can you send it to me?
I can put it on the screen if you want.
Yeah, I have to
Actually,
disconnect.
open the app, actually, you have it on your screen, on your home, on your dock. Put it somewhere there. Yeah, that's it. Oh, no, not the, oh yeah, we can use, yeah, any of those.
Should be here, right?
That's it. Keep going in the area.
You want me to record?